he sat down and I could just hear him getting on top of his voice and talking about, yeah, brown, nice brown skin and, no scar, like, yeah, clean, nice brown, clean skin. If you think say you're Canadian bad man, me a Jamaican bad gal.
She's stepping over all her obstacles. With her kings and queens, she's short and spicy. It's the love of God. She's holding her own.
Welcome back to Short and Spicy Nikks. This is your girl Nikki speaking. How you guys doing today? This is the first of my series, How I Know My Children's Father Hated Me. But before we get into this video, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, put on your notification bell, and put the bell on all so you can be notified of new uploads and live stream. Now let's get into this video. How I Know My Children's Father Hated Me. This is going to be a series of stories that I'm going to share with you all on looking back and these different circumstances, these different instances, how I found out my baby father hated me. I'm going to start off with this one, our trip to Jamaica in 2014. We were homeless, basically, staying at his mother's house. And it was touch and go before we reached Jamaica, because the tickets were already bought. I had money saved because we weren't paying any rent. We were looking for a house to rent, but couldn't find anything. So we ended up at his mother's house. I didn't know about all her wickedness and the things that she was doing behind closed doors, trying to get rid of me. I wasn't aware of that. I remember packing 2 barrels to send to Jamaica and he wasn't there, and I got so upset and I started cursing, not swearing or anything, just started saying, I can't deal with it. But we were already locked in. Like I said, tickets were bought. And she took it upon her head and started jumping in as if I was talking about her. And she wet me up with water. And I grabbed my baby's powder because my last son, he was less than 2. He was probably 8 months at the time. So I was using powder to powder him, and I grabbed the powder and I just dab it on top of her head after she wet me up with the water. And I remember that night I felt so bad. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't stay here. Anyhow, when he came home, I don't remember if it was the same night or the day after or whatever, but he was sleeping out a lot because we're at his mother's house. He could do whatever he feels like doing, under his mother's roof. Him are the king of the house, you get me? Anyhow, we missed the flight. The day to go to Jamaica, we had to reschedule because everybody just dragging their foot. And Mama Dearest is, having her plans, doing what she's doing, skinning off her teeth, acting like she's, all right, but planning her demise, right? Or my demise she was planning without my knowledge. Anyways, we got to Jamaica. And when we reached Jamaica the very first day, as soon as we came off the plane, he has a friend that was deported from Canada back to Jamaica. And that's who I see popped up at the airport, ready to grab my baby father's suitcase, my children's father. And then I see him kind of hold him down like, no. Because, I don't know, I guess it looked away. I didn't know that conversations was going on. Or should I say I did know, because he had made me drop him somewhere. When we were staying at his mother, he made me drop him somewhere because he was on parole. I bailed him out after he's the one who got us evicted. So that's how we ended up at his mother's house anyways. So I remember him, that same friend, that came to the airport in Jamaica, he had made us go to that friend's sister's house, he said, and drop him off there. And he didn't come home that night. I don't know what to call it, but looking back, I was very gullible at the time. I'm going to leave that for another time because I can't wrap my mind around what was going on at the time. So that passed. He jumped in the car with his friend, and his friend followed behind us and came to the house that we were all staying, myself and our kids, our 4 kids. My children, the older ones, were still in their teens, probably 17, 18, and the baby was less than 2, like 8 months, like I said. So we got to the place, and it was the first night or the second night, but a couple nights after, some of my family members came there. Mind you, these family members and they are cousins, female cousins. Them and I weren't really getting along or really talking. And I remember being at one side of the wall in front of the house that we were staying. And he was inside. It's like a porch, like a drive porch that they have in Jamaica. It's not really a garage, but a drive porch. They has grills around it, the wall and everything, but you could park your car in there. Something like a garage, but more open. And he was in there while I was outside, and he was drinking and, getting drunk and smoking cigarette and stuff. And the tensions were there. Tensions between him and I was there. And one of my cousins went in to talk to him. She came with her boyfriend and her sisters and, in their car, and they were at the cars, but she left and went into the car park, or car porch, I would say, because I didn't really do much introducing. Like I said, it was so tense. It was such a tense vacation. It was my first time going to Jamaica and basically introducing him to my family, because they've been hearing about this guy from the time I got with him, from the first child to the second child, the third child, and now the fourth child. Everything they're hearing about Matthew. So now I was excited, because I was excited that my family in Jamaica was going to finally meet Matthew. And the way how we went down, it was so depressing. We were arguing for most of the time, and he had information that I wasn't aware of until late. I think it was until I came back. When I came back from Jamaica, he told me, and I'll let you know a little bit down in this story. But this night now, when my cousin went into the car porch to go speak with him, and she's light-skinned, beautiful. My cousin's beautiful, tall, light-skinned, just beautiful, nice shape, everything. And she went in there, and he sat down, and I could just hear him getting on top of his voice and talking about, brown, nice brown skin, and, no scar, clean, nice brown, clean skin. When someone is trying to trigger you, because he knows why he was behaving like that. He knows my insecurities and the issues that I have with him, and him cheating and all of that. So he knows my insecurities, right? So I felt triggered, and I went in there, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Because my cousin was standing up. He was sitting down, and my cousin was standing up in front of him. And I'm not gonna lie, I went in, and I don't remember what I said, but it was something out of anger, as to say, you think you could embarrass me? You think basically put him in his place, letting him know, like, he's not going to get a rise out of me. And that happened, and I know my cousin felt uncomfortable because she doesn't know what was going on. I could see it on her face. And it really had nothing to do with her, even though we weren't in good standings at that time. So now we're there and everything, and I remember we went to a beach. You know, we all got together and we went to a beach, a free beach, and we were just sitting down, getting ready to go in the water. And again, he made me feel like nothing. Because when we would argue, he'd be cursing me out and, you know, just going on. And I felt so embarrassed, you know. And I remember cursing him one time and telling him, listen, if you think say you're Canadian bad man, me a Jamaican bad gal, right? Because I was letting him know I'm not afraid of him, you know? Because I was trying to keep the peace, but it seems like he was just intent on embarrassing me in front of my family. And always walking away and going on and outside and drinking and, you know? Most of the time he slept in the back room with my grandaunt that was sick and basically going off, you know? And I just felt that was the worst vacation ever. That was the first time I ever went to Jamaica and didn't have a good time, and nothing was working out the way I wanted to. Arguments, even with my family, my aunt, one of my aunts. And this one night, I was outside and we're sitting up on the wall, right? Because there's a wall that they build around the property, and then the gate, and then it's at a good height where you could sit on top of the wall. And I was sitting there, myself and one of my cousins, and we're just there talking. I didn't know where he was, but he was further out onto the street side, not in the community, but further out where the busy road was and the street. And I didn't know he was out there, but I could imagine he wasn't feeling good at all either. You know, this wasn't the vacation that I was planning for us to have, you know, the first time meeting my family as well. And I remember him coming. I just saw a car stop, and then him and his friend, the same friend that tried to grab his suitcase at the arrival, you know, I saw him come out the car, and he came in the house. He went in the house and went straight in the house with my baby father. And I was just sitting there like, I don't know what was going on. And they came out with his suitcase. Again, I'm like, what's going on? Nikki, the friend started with me. Nikki, what kind of thing this? Oh, if you have Matty outside, I walk up and down upon the street. Saying how could I have my children's father outside, out by the street side, walking up and down. I didn't even know what was going on. I didn't even know where he was, that he was out there. So he called his friend from outside, off the street. The same thing he was doing when we were in Canada, calling his friend and complaining to him for whatever, you know, because the reception I was getting was as if I was his enemy. And I remember I was tugging back and forth with his friend for the suitcase. Like, he's not going anywhere. He came down here with me. If anything happens to him, you know, it's going to be on my shoulders. He came down here with me. And I said, he's not coming with you. And it was back and forth. My baby father was just standing there as if he's a child. Standing there, not really saying much, as if he's a child and that's his father coming to pick him up to take him home. And I think I kept his passport. I don't remember if I did, but I think I kept his passport because I said I'm not letting him go with it. But I couldn't hold him there. And his friend took him, and he went in the car with his friend, and they left. And I didn't see him for days. And my grandmother, she's battling with Alzheimer's now, but at the time, she wasn't diagnosed at that time. She was okay, and she wasn't happy. None of my family was happy. Even my cousins, my male cousins that he has just met for the first time, they all loved him as if they knew him for a long time, because they used to speak to him on the phone and everything. And even when we came back to Canada, they exchanged numbers. And my cousin, my female cousin that was always with him, him and her going to get water because it was so hot. And when he actually came home, it was myself and my sister who went to go pick him up from his friend, because I didn't want to call him. I was so upset. I felt so embarrassed. I didn't want to call him. So I think either I called him or he called or what. I don't remember what happened. And he said to come get him or whatever. And when I went to go get him, he looked like he was a Jamaican. He had some marina on the drive home. I was just silent. But the whole time there, it seemed as if he was trying to be happy, but something was bothering him. We went to the zoo with my grandmother and her sister, my grandaunt. It was her house that we stayed at. That was one of the highlights of the trip. And then we went to a place called, a pool. We went to a pool? Yeah. I think we went to a mineral bath as well. And then we went to the pool and we were having some fun at the pool. That's when I saw him kind of lighten up, right? But his friend came to send us off, when we were leaving and everything. But yeah, we came back to Canada now. And it was when we came back to Canada, he told me that his mother had told him that I was taking him to Jamaica so that men could unalive him. Stick around for part 2 of how I know my children's father hated me.